Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome back. We are continuing to study the Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are now in chapter 15, which is called the Purushottama Yoga. And yesterday we discussed about the banyan tree, which Krishna is Urdhva Moolam Adhashakam, the perverted reflection of the spiritual world, which is the material world, is compared to a banyan tree which is upside down. And then we also discussed the comparison is given how the jiva being stuck in this material world, being trying to lord over the material nature, covered by the three modes of material nature. He is struggling in this material world, wandering like a monkey. As the monkey just travels from branches to branches in a tree, we keep moving from one branch, one planet to another planet, different, we are changing different bodies. So Krishna gives the solution how one can, one has to cut himself from this attachment to this material world. Asanga shastrena dridena chitva, he says. With determination, one should cut this attachment. So then, Krishna also further explains, nirmana moha jita sanga dosha. One should be free from the false pride. Sanga dosha, we should be free from bad association. Adhyatma nitya, one should endeavor to take up spiritual life. The eternal spiritual process one should be eager for. Because spirituality is the eternity, or soul is eternal, the connection with the soul, with the Supreme Lord is eternal. The revival of Krishna consciousness needs to be practiced. And that will establish us in our eternal relationship with Krishna. Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama. Enough of this lust. So many lifetimes we have been trying to enjoy sex, to enjoy various relationships. We should just give a full stop to all these things. Rather, giving up this karma, by developing prema, we give up this karma. So, vinivritta kama, dvandvai vimukta, sukha dukkha sangye. Then by this, also we try to come out of the dualities of happiness and distress. Dvandvai vimukta, sukha dukkha sangye. Gacchantya muda, adamavyayam tat. So what do? We aspire for that spiritual abode of the Lord. Then Krishna glorifies about the spiritual abode. What Krishna says about his spiritual abode? Yesterday, that was the last verse we saw. What did he say? He says a special quality of the spiritual abode. He is trying to inspire us about saying about what is that is something amazing in the spiritual world. What he says? Yeah, it is self-illuminated. There is no need of electricity. There is no need of sun and moon there. Natad bhasayate suryo nasashanko napavakaha. Yad ghatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam. One who goes to comes back to my abode, here doesn't have to be born in this material world again. Krishna gives that assurance. Now, before we recite the text number 7, we will try to, we will try to see the link between the text 6 and 7. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he is pointing out, who is the jiva who crossing samsara by devotion to you attains that place? Tell me something about the jiva, more about the jiva. What is he? What is his nature? What is he? Like that, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is pointing out. Keeping this question in mind, Srila Supreme Personality of God is answering. And Srila Sridhara Swami, he gives another point. He says that when there is a pralaya, the jivas, all the jivas, everything, everyone, whatever they have come, whatever whether they have been completely thoroughly purified or they are still conditioned, they all go back into the body of Mahavishnu. So, what happens? All the previous karmas or previous propensities, everything is stored. That when we enter the body of Mahavishnu, we are in Susupti. Susupti means deep sleep. We are completely in slumber. Now, so Sridhar Swami is asking, so again there will be a creation. So the jivas do not know what is their position. So who is actually reincarnating? Who is coming to this world? He is asking like that. Remember the other day I gave that example. Example of when somebody comes and we have a special program here. So people are coming to this hall. Before coming to the hall, whatever belongings they have, they leave it outside. There is a person who is in charge. They're leaving their bags, they're leaving their watches, they're leaving their mobile phones, and they also have one special attire. They wear that attire, and they come inside. Meanwhile, everything is recorded there. Everything, you have perfect record of whatever that you have given, everything is there. And when they come in, so they are inside this program, and after when they go out, immediately they get their respective dresses, they get their belongings, everything. Similarly, when the jiva, when the Lord again begins the creation, everyone, so when they enter the body of Mahavishnu, everything is left in the Prakriti, in the Pradhana, everything is there. Then again, exactly the Lord has all perfect arrangement. Again, when the creation happens, each and every one of us are pulled into a particular body, according to the particular modes we are in, whatever karma we have done, everything is taken into account and again being born back. So now, this is what Sridhar Swami says about it. And now Krishna speaks the text number 7. Mamaivangsho jivaloke jivabhutas sanatanaha manah shashtanindriyani prakristani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. This is a very important shloka to be memorized. In fact, one of the 10 or 11 verses in the Bhagavad Gita is one of the important verses we should know. So Krishna says, Mamai, Mama Amshaha, Mama Eva Amshaha. Certainly they are my fragmental particles. They are my fragmental parts. Who are those? Jiva Bhutaha. These jivas, all of us, we are all is part and parcel. And we are we for some existing for a short span of time and then we dissolve? No. Sanatanaha. We are eternal. The Lord is eternal, we are eternal. And then what we are doing in this material world, perfect description is given. We are enjoying, no? We are not enjoying. See what Krishna says. Mana shashtan indriyani. Mana shashtani means with the 6 senses. Shashtani indriyani, 6 senses. What are we doing? Prakriti stani karshati. We are trying to, we are struggling with in this material world for existence. This is what? There is a great struggle for existence happening in this material world. So the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. Even before we discuss further from this purport, we will see how the Mayavadis misinterpret this entire verse. So what they do is, according to them, they say that Krishna says, Mamai Vamsho Jivaloki. Now, according to the Mayavadis, everything is singular or everything is homogeneous. There is only one soul, that is one Brahman. That Brahman is broken. So the living entities are in the conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. They are broken down. This is their proposition. That Brahman is broken down. Now we have to again become that. Just we are in illusion. Now once we realize that we are the Brahman, we are the God, we are in our perfect state. Now, if you remember the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, there is a definition that is given about the soul, regarding the qualities of the soul. One of the qualities, Krishna says, the soul is unbreakable. What is the Sanskrit for that? Pandit Ji. What is Sanskrit? Achedyoyam. Krishna says, no, it is unbreakable. You cannot break the soul. That's one of the quality of the soul. Now, the very premise, they can't give answer for this. Sir, you are saying that the fragmental parts here mentioned is the, now you see Krishna is saying that soul is broken down into fragmental parts. But very clearly Krishna, in the beginning only we have discussed that the soul cannot be broken. Then what is your explanation for this? There are no words to explain. Truth is inexpressible. It's beyond words. Like this, they made all this word jugglery. They have a great problem dealing with this issue. They cannot give any proper explanation for this achedyo. So immediately we can see there are so many arguments that was given in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, specifically in 13th verse, how the Jiva is eternal. Jiva is part and parcel. There also we can see the reference for this verse is given. So this is a very important verse. Krishna very clearly says, they are my eternal fragmental parts. So now, what does that mean? We are very minute particles. Krishna is Vibhu and we are Anu. So in English, this word fragmental means we should not be to think that it is broken. We are by constitutional position, we are small particles. So that is the best word that could be used. Prabhupada is using the best word in English, fragmental parts. Sanskrit is very highly sophisticated language which can communicate the spiritual subject matters. In English, as much as possible, the best words are used by Srila Prabhupada. So part and parcel of Supreme Lord, we are eternal. So that is why we don't listen to the Mayavadi, we listen to Krishna's words. Better, you say that truth cannot be expressed. You don't express anything, you shut up your mouth. You don't speak anything. We will hear from Krishna. You also hear from Krishna, you rascal. You are saying that, that Supreme, that one consciousness is broken down into so many chunks like that. So they are rascals actually, they misinterpret the statements of the Supreme Lord. Now, very nicely Srila Prabhupada is giving an explanation how the Supreme Lord, he expands himself. Bhahusyam prajayate. This one Supreme Lord, he expands himself into various avatars. Even Swamsha and Vibhinamsha. That is being explained in the commentary here. You can see Vishnu Tattva expansions, personal expansion. What is personal expansion is called as, keep the Bhagavad Gita raised always, Swamsa. And what is Vibhinamsha? All the separated expansions from the Lord. So here Prabhupada in the purport, if you see, he is pointing out, there are innumerable expansions of the primary expansions are called Vishnu Tattva. The secondary expansions are called the living entities. In other words, Vishnu Tattva is the personal expansion and the living entities are the separated expansion. So we are the Vibhinamsa and the Lord's other expansions are Swamsa. Okay. By his personal expansion is manifested in various forms like Lord Rama, Nrsimhadeva, Vishnu Murti and all the predominating deities in the Vaikuntha planets. Now, what is our constitutional position? Prabhupada is pointing out the personal entities or the personal expansions of the Lord are always present. You can see in the spiritual abode, there are eternal abodes of the Lord where the Lord is performing various pastimes to please his devotees. That is explained. And then we the Jivas, what is our position? The separated expansions of the living entities have their identities. We have our unique identity as separated expansions and we also eternally exist. Now, another nature of the Jiva is explained here by Srila Prabhupada. That we all have minute independence. The Jiva has got minute independence. We need to understand. We say that, I am independent, I can do everything, I can do it on my own. But our independence is like that of a, let's say an example, an animal which is tied to a pole. Or we can take an example of a cow which is tied to a single pole. How much the cow can move? What is its independence? The length of the rope. If say 50 feet is the length of the rope, 50 feet he can go around. He can roam around, do whatever he wants. But if he is trying to move 1 inch above 50 feet, he is controlled. Similarly, every one of us have some independence. That's our limitation. We cannot cross beyond that. And we are in this material world because we misuse that independence. We crossed our limits. So we are in this karpur. Okay. So Prabhupada is pointing out in the further in the purport. As a result, he has to struggle very hard to maintain his existence in the material world. As a result of what? Result of misusing the independence. The living entities, not only human beings and the cats and dogs, but even the greater controllers of the material world, Brahma, Lord Shiva, and even Vishnu, are all parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. So that is the whole point. He is the Supreme Personality of God. Who? Krishna. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ara Sabha Bhrityam. Jare Jaiche Nachai Se Taiche Kare Nritya. So he says that, Shri Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, Ekal Ishvara, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ara Sabha Bhritya, everyone else is his servant. Jare Jaiche Nachai, every one of us are dancing according to his dance, his desire, his will. Taiche Nritya, we all dance according to his will. So when we decide we should not dance according to his will, then we dance according to Maya's tune. That is what is the material world. The waves of the material wave ocean, it carries us. And we are struggling in this world. So Prabhupada goes on to explain that the word karshati, struggling or grappling hard, is very significant. The conditioned soul is bound up as though shackled by iron chains. He is bound up by the false ego, and the mind is the chief agent which is driving him in this material existence. When the mind is in the mode of goodness, his activities are good. When the mind is in the mode of passion, his activities are troublesome. And when the mind is in the mode of ignorance, it travels in the lower species of life. This is what is our story. This is our story. This is our story. We are all stuck in different bodies, and we are struggling with the three modes of material nature. That is what the constant struggle is happening in this material world. That is our story here. Now, so that's why Krishna is pointing out here. As Prabhupada is giving a example. He's giving a shackle by, like we are shackled. Can you imagine when you are tied up to a very powerful iron chain, to a huge ball of iron? Can you walk easily? There is always a big burden. Difficulties are there. Also, the other class we discussed this. Srila Bhakti-śāstra Saraswati Thakur tells a story of how one of the three, one of the prince, and then one minister, and then another person with the higher post. So all three of them, they go to another country, and then they go and then marry accordingly to their level. Some queens, prince is marrying another princess, and then the minister is marrying another. So all of the three, they marry, and then they come back, and then they were trapped by the father of the queens. And then they said that he's calling the minister, and he said that everyone should be proportionately punished. So then what he does, the minister comes with a proposal. He says, okay, he's bringing one golden chain to the prince, and then to another minister, silver chain, to another fellow, he's bringing the iron chain. All three of them are conditioned. Everyone is conditioned. One is, I'm having golden chain. Now you are also chained, That is the whole point. Everyone is chained. Everyone is suffering. That is what is happening in this material world. One may be very rich. He's conditioned in that way. One may be very poor. One may be very weak in health. So in all ways, proportionate to the conditioning of the three modes, is struggling here. Now, this is a key point Prabhupada is pointing out here. We have to understand here. This is one of the important. This shloka is also always many times used to defeat the misconception of the Mayavadis. It is clear, however, in this verse that the conditioned soul is covered by the material body, with the mind and senses, and when he is liberated, this material covering perishes, but his spiritual body manifests itself in its individual capacity. Now you see, this is an important point. Otherwise, what the Mayavadis say? When there is liberation, we merge to the Supreme. Or we merge, we realize that we are God, we merge. And they always give this example of Gatakash, Patakash. You heard this? Actually, it is like this. There is the ether inside the pot. When the pot is broken, the ether inside the pot mixes with the sky, everything becomes one. This is actually Srila Prabhupada many times in the conversations, he defeats this idea. First of all, the analogy itself that they are comparing, whenever there is an analogy used, the analogy should have maximum, when you compare something with another object, there should be maximum similarities. Otherwise, that analogy doesn't stand good. The analogy is defeated. Now, the jiva is compared to the ether inside the pot, which is not at all a proper comparison. The comparison doesn't hold good. As a result, when you just say that, let me see if I have a conversational reference here. Put, I think. Okay. Yeah, anyway, so the point is that, so the jiva's nature, the jiva is a chetana, is a conscious living entity, but the pot is not. So you cannot compare the pot to the jiva. And the jiva cannot be broken. Jiva cannot be broken down into pieces because the very nature of the jiva is, it is explained, the nature of the soul is achedyoyam. You cannot break the soul. So the comparison doesn't match. Are you able to follow? Are you getting it? So you cannot compare. The comparison is not proper. So the acharyas are defeating the idea of that this, there will be a mixing of the air which is inside the pot, it will mix. So it is completely rejected. So that doesn't work. So the point is that after the liberation, what happens? We are eternally existing as the spirit soul, and we are engaged in the service of the Lord. This is the point. Okay, let's continue with the commentary here. Now, Prabhupada here is giving references from scriptures to point out that when we go back to the abode of the Lord, what happens? He says that it is clear, however, in this verse that the conditioned soul is covered with the material body, with the mind and senses, and when he is liberated, this material covering perishes, but his spiritual body manifests itself in his spiritual capacity. The following information is there in the Madhyandinayana Shruti. Sava esha brahmanishta idam shariram martyam atishrijya brahmabhi sampadhya brahmana pashyati brahmana shrunoti brahmanai vedam sarvam anubhavati. It is stated here that when a living entity gives up this material embodiment and enters into the spiritual world, he revives the spiritual body, and in his spiritual body he can see the supreme personality of Godhead face to face. This is a quote from the Upanishads, from the Shruti. He can hear and speak to him face to face, and he can understand the Supreme Personality as he is. Hey, good news, we all can see the Supreme Lord face to face. We can talk to him. We can embrace him. He will embrace us. The sound is so pleasing. You see, there is also a description given by our acharyas in the Madhurya Kadambini. I'll just show you a quote. What happens? This is for the person who is completely purified, who has attained the stage of prema, and when he becomes eligible to go back to Godhead. And when he goes to the abode of the Lord, what happens? Such amazing descriptions are given. At least we will come to know what are those descriptions. This is from Madhurya Kadambini. Here it says, when prema blossoms, the Lord reveals first his form of matchless beauty to the enraptured devotee. The devotee's senses and mind become one, and he beholds with all his senses the Lord's exquisite beauty. So we have the eyes, ears, nose, tongue. All the senses become the eyes. Because the beauty of the Lord is, it is matchless. It's so captivating. So with all the senses, we want to capture the beautiful form of the Lord. At the sight of the Lord's unparalleled beauty, the devotee feels ecstatic symptoms. What are those ecstatic symptoms? Ashta Sattvika Bhav, Ashta Sattvika Vikar. So many changes happen in his body, like being paralyzed, quivering, weeping, and so on. His eyes are completely open, 24 hours. Even when you would have been doing service, you don't feel tired, you don't feel sleepy. Completely stunned seeing the form. These ecstatic symptoms begin to hinder his vision of the Lord. Not only that, but the exhilaration renders him unconscious. Now, with all this, seeing the brilliant form, he is completely stunned with emotions. And what happens? He becomes unconscious. This is the result of seeing the beautiful form of the Lord. Then what happens? What happens? Seeing the devotee's condition, the Lord consolingly manifests his second ambrosial attribute, his physical fragrance, which immediately arrests the devotee's sense of smell. There is an amazing fragrance coming from the body of the Lord. It's so captivating, And once you smell that, we are completely, again, the transformations happen. See what happens. Now all the devotee senses withdraw from the sense of sight and rush to center of the sense of smell. Now everything becomes the sense of smell. Eyes, ears, everything just full. What a smell! I've never smelled this. Sometimes, see, I just want to tell you something. That sometimes when we are, in this material world, we are dealing with so much tamas and this and that. sometimes when we go to the temple, sometimes you see, we have some, glimpse of this experience. Sometimes there is amazing incense and then the flowers that is offered to the Lord, beautiful decorations on the deities, and then you go, where am I? Oh, so wonderful actually to see that situation. We can immediately see, any common person will see the difference in the gunas, and you can see. So here, and you can just imagine seeing the Lord in person, getting the fragrance of the Lord, how the jiva is experiencing the great bliss. Seeing the devotee's condition, the Lord consolingly manifests his second ambrosial attribute, his physical fragrance, which immediately arrests the devotee's sense of smell. Now all the devotee's senses withdraw from the sense of sight and rush to the center on the sense of smell. This overpowers him, and once again, intense joy causes him to lose consciousness. Again he faints, finish. Then what happens? Now you see what the Lord does. Krishna once again rescues the devotee, and this time the Lord revives him with his melodious voice. Calls. Very difficult. The voice is melodious. How can I imitate? Not possible. So melodious. So he calls Mangal Vaishnav. And Mangal Vaishnav, wake up. The Lord speaks to him saying, my dear devotee, I am your captive, fully under your control. Do not be overwhelmed, just perceive me and fulfill the desire of your heart. You came to see me, just you fulfill all your desire. You can see the Lord says, do not be overwhelmed, just to perceive me and fulfill the desire of your heart. The devotee's senses become surcharged and they seek to hear and absorb the sweet melody of his beloved Lord's voice. He says, wow, never ever, na bhuto, na bhavishyati. What is this voice? Such a beautiful voice, such a, like the cuckoo, sound of the cuckoo. So, even just cuckoo is a material example given here. Sound of the cuckoo is so good, but we cannot compare. The voice, Lord's voice is so sweet to hear. The devotee's senses become surcharged and they seek to hear and absorb the sweet melody of his beloved Lord's voice. And again he is unable to contain his ecstasy and he becomes bereft of consciousness. Then again with the voice, he faints. Then the Lord, full of compassion, embraces the devotee with his body, displaying his fourth nectarian opulence of tender youthfulness to the Dasya devotee. Now, then what happens? According to the different relationship each and every devotee has got with the Lord reciprocates accordingly. With the Dasya devotee, he places his lotus feet on his head. Then with the Sakya devotee, he holds his fingers, and then with Vatsalya, the one who is experiencing Vatsalya, what the Lord does, he wipes the tears, like that. And then with Madhurya, he reciprocates in various ways. He embraces the devotee, like that. There are more incidents that are given. But for now, let us come back to this material world. This we had a glimpse of what is happening in the spiritual world. Not that we merge, not that we become, completely, we lose our identity or existence. There, all the bliss is there. All the bliss we are experiencing even here when we come in the association of devotees, engage in Krishna's service, we are experiencing that. But we have to realize that now at the present moment I am in the gutter. From the gutter, if I need to come out, I need to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, I need to understand my identity, I need to engage in His service, with faith I need to chant my holy name. Then definitely the day will come where you will be able to see the Supreme Lord face to face. So this is something very inspiring. Okay. We will go back to our discussion from the Bhagavad Gita. So now, Prabhupada further he goes to point out, from Smriti also it is understood, Vasanti yatra purusha sarve vaikunta murtayaha. In the spiritual planets, everyone lives in bodies featured like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have a similar form. That's why when Ajamila saw the Vishnu Dutas, he was totally spellbound, struck, amazed. Who are these personalities? So much effulgence. That great golden crown. They are having armlets, they are having bracelets, everything is so shining. They are also looking like Vishnu. And that's how everybody looks like Vishnu there in the Vaikuntha Loka. As far as bodily construction is concerned, there is no difference between the part and parcel living entities and the expansions of Vishnu Murti. In other words, at liberation, the living entity gets a spiritual body by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is what we should hanker for. We will get a spiritual body. Otherwise we will rot in this material world in 84 lakh species of forms. So Prabhupada again points out here, the fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord is not like some material broken part. See, here Prabhupada is clarifying this point. Because we should not, when we say fragmental part, we should not say some broken part, No, that's by nature the jivas are hamsa, small minute particles. So we already understood in second chapter that the spirit cannot be cut into pieces. This fragment is not materially conceived. It is not like matter which can be cut into pieces and joined together again. That conception is not applicable here because the Sanskrit word sanatana is used. The fragmental portion is eternal. So eternally we are fragmental portion of the Lord. So that is the whole point. Let me just go to see one conversation here. So that's why we can see the Acharyas also point out to Srila Prabhupada. They give references pointing that they give references to the second chapter, 13th verse, because there is always references given from second chapter 13th verse because the jivas are eternally fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And very clearly that is established in the 13th verse of the second chapter. And also there is so much commentaries given by all the Acharyas, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, they blasted the misconceptions of the Mayavadis. Okay, here is one other. Okay, let me just show the reference later. We'll just go back here. We'll see the commentary of the Acharyas. Okay, same thing, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu also is pointing out the same things what Srila Prabhupada has said here. All the quotes are here from the commentaries, okay. Okay, we will go to the next verse, text 8. The previous verse mentioned that the jiva situated in the material world is carrying the senses. This verse elaborates this point. Now we can see, we said that actually the jiva, prakriti, mana, shashtan indriyani, with the six senses, the jiva is struggling in this material world. Prakriti sthani karshati. Now, how does it actually, how it happens, what is it, how it is going on? Further it's explained in this verse. How this, with the senses the jiva is running, moving around. Text 8. Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramati grihitvaitani sangyati vayur gandhani vashayat. Very nice analogy Krishna is giving here. The living entity in the material world carries its different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. So he says, Shariram yad avapnoti. He gets a particular sharira, avapnoti, he gets utkramati. Utkramati means giving up. And the word Ishvara is used here. What is this? Ishvara is being used here. The jiva is compared to Ishvara. Why? Because he is at least he has control over his body. So we will see Prabhupada is explaining it. Utkramat Ishvaraha grihit vaitani sangyati. How he takes to another body, how he takes from one body to another body, like vayur gandhan ivashayat. Like the air which carries the aromas. We can see when there is a wind, we can sometimes, when you are also traveling in train or bus, sometimes you see such a nice smell when the bus goes through a nice garden, or it just crosses a forest where there are nice trees with gardens and nice flowers. And then after some place you see, just for at least for 2 minutes you have to completely close your nose, or you should put a clip. Sometimes it could be a distilleries, and then all this beverages smell will be there. For some people I don't know how it is, for them they like it, for others they faint actually, they can't tolerate. And then some place the smell is horrible smell, there is some some animal is dead, but they have not cleared it, so you can't tolerate. Huh? Sometimes we have this experience here. This, what do you call this big rat is dead. And then you have, with the smell we are trying to identify, sometimes it is hidden somewhere. We have to figure out. So like the point is that, Vayur Gandhan Ivashaya. So the Vayu, the air is carrying the aroma. So like that, we are also carried away by our vasanas. We are carried to different bodies. That is what is being explained. Okay, now let's see the purport. We already discussed, because we have this minute independence, we are called as the Ishvara, that Prabhupada says. Here the living entity is embodied, described as Ishvara, the controller of his own body. If he likes, he can change his body to a higher grade, and if he likes, he can move to a lower class. Minute independence is there. So, we are the architect of our future. We decide, we want to surrender to Krishna, Urdhvam Gachanti Sattvasto. If you don't want to surrender to Krishna, Adho Gachanti Tamasa. That is what is going to happen. So in that sense, we are Ishwaras. So now Prabhupada makes a point that if he has made his consciousness like that of a cat or a dog, he is sure to change to a cat's or dog's body. And if he has fixed his consciousness on godly qualities, he will change into the form of a demigod. See here? And if he is in Krishna consciousness, he will be transferred to Krishna Loka. It's a very clear statement, Based on your consciousness, you take the next body. Now, Prabhupada here clarifies a misconception. Some people think that everything is finished at the time of death. Is that so? No. It is a false claim that after the annihilation of this body, everything is finished. The individual soul is transmigrating from one body to another, and his present body and present activities are the background of his next body. So one gets a different body according to karma, and he has to quit his body in due course. So that's what, if somebody is engaged, he's trying to, that fellow without no sense of control, there is no control over senses, no control over mind, he just goes on to attack an opposite sex, he tries to rape someone. Don't worry, we'll give you a special body. Like every day the dog is, this is what the dog is doing. You become a dog. Then, if you just eat whatever, I will just eat anything, no discrimination. Whatever it is, I'll just put inside my mouth. Okay, no problem. Take the body of a hog. We make special arrangements for you. The Lord is giving the body of a hog. You become a hog. Then if you engage in some big charity, we are doing so many pious activities, this and that, you may become Indra. You may go. And then, if you want to simply serve Krishna, then you go back to God. So that's what Prabhupada is pointing out here. Okay, so okay, let's go to the next verse. Now, here Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu is giving a link. For what purpose does he take the senses and go to the next body? So he says, like with the senses, based on the vasanas, like the air carries the smell. Similarly, with the senses and the mind, he is carried on to another body. So what is the purpose for which he is being carried away? Now here the reason is given. Text 9. Shrotram chakshuspar cha rasanam ghranam evacha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. See here. Shrotra means ears, Chakshuhu means eyes, Sparshana means sense of touch. Then Rasanam means taste, Granam means the smell. So all these 5 sensory organs are Adhishtaya Manaschayam. Everything is centered on Shrotram, Chakshu, Sparshanam, Rasanam, Granam. Then everything is centered on what? On the mind. So what he's doing with this particular set of sense objects, with the particular senses he has acquired, he's trying to enjoy those particular senses. That is what is happening in this material world. So now we have tried in this body, tried so much sense gratification. Now let us now find a new opportunity. Now we will be able to satisfy. So we are getting a new body. A new body, we want to try again different kinds of sense gratification. It's the same old, what is that? Old wine in the new bottle, like that, same thing, same old story. We are trying to satisfy our senses, but we are never going to be satisfied because senses will never be satisfied. This material world is not a place to get satisfaction. This material world is a place of miseries. So we will continuously will be deluded till we come to a proper understanding that this place is a place of suffering. Our real house is is with Krishna. We need to go back to that abode. Till we get this knowledge, till we get this understanding, we will suffer in this material world. So Prabhupada points out, consciousness is originally pure, like water. But if we mix water with a certain color, it changes. Similarly, consciousness is pure for the spirit, soul is pure. But consciousness is changed according to the association of the material qualities. So this we heard. So, we have this experience of when there is a rainwater, when it touches the mud. If the mud is blackish in color, the water will be blackish. If it is red in color, the water will be red. So similarly, what kind of body we are associating with whom we are, our consciousness is molded according to that. So this is an important point. So what happens during this process, in the material world, we either overestimate something or underestimate something. What is the overestimation? For some people, going to the US is like going to Vaikuntha. It's such an overestimation. What is such a big thing in the United States of America? We think that there is such a happiness is there in this material, in that world. But those who have gone there, we can see there are also people, there are beggars are there, people are suffering. Maybe there are some sophisticated gadgets, the roads are very clean, just by a touch of remote control you are getting many things. But there also you have to work hard, there also there is birth, there also there is death, there is old age, there is disease. People are suffering there. So what is the point? Infatuation, overestimate, hype is created. That's why we see we are constantly trying to imitate the West, thinking that will give us happiness. We are brainwashed. This is what actually brainwashing has happened. Whatever little, good culture that was there, good practices that was there, everything is completely destroyed. Specifically when one goes to the school and college, he becomes more polluted. He loses whatever little culture he has got, everything is lost. So there is overestimation of something, and then there is underestimation also. India is supposed to be the guide for the entire world. Still, even after so many people who have exploited the country, the Britishers have exploited the country, so many atheists are exploiting the country, so many antagonists are exploiting the country, so-called philosophers are blabbering nonsense. In spite of all this nonsense, you can see on the day of Janmashtami, still people for whatever reasons, I want some material benefit, and they are coming to temple. So the purity is there. So we have a great role to play. We have to preach very, very vigorously to save the lives of the people. So India becomes underestimated like anything. So now that we are speaking here about again another attachment to a country. No, the point is that because of the motive of sense gratification, we are not able to see things in proper perspective. Although we have the eyes, we are not able to see with proper knowledge. So we are only seeing with the idea of enjoying the senses. With the eyes, with the ears, with the nose, with the tongue, with a sense of touch, we simply want to experience some kind of happiness. So much is being, you can see among the youth, there is so much discussion about attraction to the opposite sex. There is great bliss, like that they discuss. And then you can see people, some of them they get married and all, they say, it's not so much as you think. So much infatuation in this material world about sex pleasure. It's all actually cheating. It's all completely cheating. So either there is overestimation or underestimation. That is what is happening in this material world. So that's what we see. So we are just fascinated by some kind of a drink. This already we discussed. People they want to try. They call it soft drinks. What is this nonsense soft drinks? They Pepsi Cola, Coca Cola. Because of big advertisements, all big cine stars are drinking, film stars are drinking. I also want to try. There is something really tasty. Rather, we could say that homemade lassi is first class. I'm speaking from a material perspective also. It is really good, first class. We make some homemade juices and then offer to the Lord and take it as prasadam. But Pepsi Cola, Coca Cola, you get all kinds of disease, and then after you drink, you find it very difficult. But it's all just infatuation. That's all. One fool is creating a big hype, and then immediately other fools are following. Similarly, we can see some of the cricket stars or the cine stars or such an hype is created, like he is the Devata or he is the idol of worship, So they just, I'm just, because I was speaking to a couple of my friends, they were all saying, oh, what a loss for the cricket world. I'm sorry, some of you who had this bad samskara before, you may know Shane Warne, the greatest leg spinner ever produced in this world. He's dead now. What a great loss for the world. So many people have come and then gone like this. So one French philosopher says, graveyards are full of indispensable men. Indispensable men means they are irreplaceable. They think like that. Oh, without me, the world will not function. No, world will function. Sun is rising, sun is setting, moon is coming, everything else will happen. Don't worry. It's not that because of you. Who are you? Such an insignificant person in this world. So we are just completely captivated. That's a big hot news. Everything is like this. When something happens, immediately that becomes the hottest news. Then everybody watches the YouTube and WhatsApp, then the newspaper. Then after 5 days, there's nothing. Then what's the next news? That's why you can see all these journalists. They are just waiting for some news. They always try to provoke someone, and then nobody is interested to present the truth. Who is giving this real message? Hey, Krishna is there waiting for you. We can go on and dance with him. Natad bhasayate suryo. That place is so captivating. There is no more death, no more old age, no more disease, no bills to pay, no exams, no sufferings. You don't have to go to the court. Such happiness there. 24 hours happiness. So nobody advertises this, because if they advertise that, then their newspaper will not sell. But many people will take up to the cause of bhakti. They will not buy newspaper. Prabhupada says one thing. In our movement, we don't read newspapers. Prabhupada says. It's just waste of time sitting and reading for 2 hours. So that's the whole point. So consciousness becomes polluted. So devotees, they are trying to be very careful not to waste their time on these mundane things. So the real consciousness is Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is pointing in the conclusion of the purport. When therefore one is situated in Krishna consciousness, he is in his pure life. But if his consciousness is adulterated by some type of material mentality, in the next life he gets a corresponding body. So that is the point. Text 10. Okay. Now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is pointing out, do we not realize at all that body from which we depart, within which we reside in the body, and residing there, how we enjoy pleasures? So, do we not realize that we are changing bodies? We are going this pleasure. What is the stand like that? He is asking. Utkramantam sthitam vapi bunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhananu pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. So here it is being pointed out that utkramantam sthitam vapi. So after quitting the body, one is situated in another body. Then bunjanam, then he tries to enjoy this body according to the particular spell he is into. That's what is happening. This is what is reincarnation. What is happening? We quit a particular body and they get into another set of body with another set of senses, and then we try to enjoy that. And then after some time, we quit that body, take another body, like that it goes on and on and on. But a person who is intelligent, he can see that. So he doesn't want to be part of this transmigration. But a person who is not smart enough, when he is not smart enough, in a polite way, you can say, he is not smart enough is an indirect way of saying, but then he is foolish. Because Krishna said, Vimuda, na anupashyanti, he is not able to see. Whereas who can see? Pashyanti jnana chakshusha. One who is with knowledge, he can see. So this is the point. If you are just now offered, so come here, I'm going to offer you. There are so many different kinds of offerings I'm having for you. Here is a Benz car. Here is the latest iPod. Here is the latest smartphone. So some varieties of things you offer. Devotee is not interested. Why? Because he knows the real bliss is in Vaikuntha along with the Lord. I don't want anything. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware bhavata bhakti rahityuti tvai. So devotee is aware of this, so he only wants devotional service. Now Krishna is pointing out, the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit the body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. Jnana chakshushaha. The word jnana chakshusha is very significant. Without knowledge, one cannot understand how a living entity leaves its present body, nor what form of body is going to take in the next life. You see, this is such an important knowledge, to know about our next life. 90%, 95% or 99% we can say of the people are not aware of getting into another body. Reincarnation, they are not aware of the principle of reincarnation. Why? Because they are very lazy. They don't want to, they are just thinking that who has seen, as the great atheistic philosopher Charvaka says, Rinam kritva agritam pibet, yavat jivet, sukam jivet, bhasmi bhutasya dehasya, king punaragamano bhavet. Rinam kritva agritam pibet. Steal, beg, borrow, you eat in ghee, he says. This is philosophy. Have you ever seen anybody coming after having dead, coming and telling you, I am in this particular body? Bhasmi bhutasya dehasya. Nobody wants, everything becomes into ashes. So just, as long as you are having got this human form, just enjoy. Life is only one. Everything is finished after that. This is the wrong philosophy. This is what most of the people's worldview is like this. Now is the time to enjoy, you just enjoy. Just do it. This is animalistic consciousness. Animal, they just satisfy their instincts. But man can discriminate things. He knows what is dharmic, it is adharmic. So I have to face the consequences if I am not going to follow the codes of conduct that is given in the scriptures. So all these things makes a person think and then is helping him to act properly. So that is why we need to be trained by a bona fide spiritual master to see properly. Otherwise, pashyan apina pashyati. This is what happened. By pramatta, by illusion, one loses track of his life. Then he engages in all kinds of sinful activities. So that's why Prabhupada is pointing out in this purport that one should be trained by the spiritual master to see things in proper perspective. Then one can mold his life, one can give priority for what that is, for what he has to give priority, he will give priority in life. Otherwise he will waste his life in so many useless things. Just waste his life in analyzing so many things which is not of any importance as far as who is bothered, what happens in women's hockey final, women's cricket match final, what is happening with US Open or Australian Open or the the London Open, Wimbledon, whatever. What is that? Wimbledon Open. What is this? Who cares for all these things? People are giving so much importance there, buying so many magazines. Sports Star, Sports Weekly, Cine Blitz, India Today, India Yesterday, India Day After Tomorrow. What is this? What is all this? Wasting time on so many useless things. What is the point with this? Rather, we should study Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. That is going to help us. That is going to put us into the real, our real life is lying here. Not in all these fake magazines which is cheating us. Prabhupada said that if you read a newspaper, what is the problem in reading all these magazines? What is the real problem in reading all these magazines? What does it make us?
Continuously goes into these crimes, all the...
Yeah. And then the point is that this strong impressions makes us believe that we are in reality. This is real world. I have got a great job to do. I have to respond. Recently we heard about this, the people, something is happening somewhere, sometimes they give a very big hype of something, For example, many times we see, years back also we remember, there was one, I think he was a kind of a preacher or somebody from the US, he was in Pakistan and somehow he was killed, okay. Then there was such a propaganda that came in all the newspapers and other internet, and then mercilessly this poor American citizen was killed. Really, it's bad. But there are so many other news. There are so many people, so many abortions are happening every day. So many animals are being killed. So many other accidents are happening in other places, in other countries. So many other atrocities are happening. But nothing. Those news will not come out because it's a might is right. Whomsoever is powerful, whomsoever has got the money, they are right. So like this, constantly everywhere there cheating is going on, and we get caught into these nuances, and then we lose track of our primary occupation or prime duty that we are supposed to do in our life. We get lost. So we should not be like that. So we need the vision. What vision we need? Jnana chakshushaha. You don't get this anywhere. You can't buy it in a shop. Sir, give me that particular spectacles where I can see the knowledge. You will not get it. You may go to any shop, Lawrence and Mayo, or anywhere, you cannot get that. You can get that from whom? From the bona fide spiritual master. Chakudan dilo jai, janme janme prabhu say. He knows how to perform the surgery. Ajnana timirandasya, jnananjana shalakaya, chakshuru nilita mena, tasmai shri gurave namah. The spiritual master, he can perform the surgery, he can remove us from the darkest of ignorance and bring ourselves to the light. Shalakaya means it's an instrument. And from that, when that is applied on the eye, that particular medicine is applied on the eye, all the cataract of all the anarthas are gone. We will have a clear vision. We will be able to see things in proper perspective. Now, very nicely Prabhupada is pointing out here. Persons who are everlastingly fooled by lust and desire lose all power to understand their change of body and their stay in a particular body. They cannot comprehend it. So we start identifying ourselves with, Gujarat, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Iyer, Iyengar, Modalayar. These are all some of the castes. So we identify ourselves with a caste, we identify ourselves with a language, we identify ourselves with a profession, we identify ourselves with a particular team. We identify ourselves as male, female, so many misidentifications. And then in all the bodies we are trying to attract the opposite sex. So Prabhupada says that just like that you are fooled by lust. But a person who is sober, he doesn't get entangled into this falsities. Those who have developed spiritual knowledge, however, can see that the spirit is different from the body and is changing its body and enjoying in different ways. A person in such knowledge can understand how the conditioned living entity is suffering in this material existence. So by the transcendental vision, he could see that. So that is the whole point. So now this is, you see, Prabhupada concludes the purpose. This is Srila Prabhupada, This is the Acharya. He immediately says that is why a devotee is always paradukka dukhi. What he likes to do, he always likes to save the life of the people. He sees people are struggling in this material world. So what he does, a Krishna conscious person goes out and gives this knowledge to others. So that is why we are very much interested in distributing this knowledge. Otherwise, we are not interested in doing any other activity. Why? So many people are there to do other activities. Our prime duty is to give this transcendental knowledge by which we can save the lives of the people. Otherwise, they will rot in this material world. See, very nicely Prabhupada is pointing out in one of the Bhagavatam purports. I just put a quote here. A Vaishnava is paradukka dukhi. In other words, he has no personal troubles, but he is very unhappy to see others in trouble. Prahlad Maharaj said, my dear Lord, I have no personal problems, for I have learned how to glorify your transcendental qualities, and thus enter a trance of ecstasy. I do have a problem, however, for I am simply thinking of these rascals and fools who are busy with Maya Sukha, temporary happiness without knowledge of the devotional service unto you. This is the problem faced by a Vaishnava. Because a Vaishnava fully takes shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He personally has no problems, but he is compassionate toward the fallen, conditioned souls. He is fallen, conditioned souls. He is always thinking of plans to save them from the hellish life in this body and the next. Parikshit Maharaj, therefore, anxiously wanted to know from Shukadeva Goswami how humanity can be saved from gliding down to hell. Shukadeva Goswami had already explained how people enter hellish life, and he could also explain how they could be saved from it. Intelligent men must have advantage of these instructions. Unfortunately, however, the entire world is lacking Krishna consciousness, and therefore people are suffering from the grossest ignorance and do not even believe in a life after this one. Hardly anybody believes after the rebirth. To convince them of their next life is very difficult because they have become almost mad in their pursuit of material enjoyment. Nevertheless, our duty, the duty of all sane men, is to save them. Maharaj Parikshit is the representative of one who can save them. That's the thing. A devotee is interested in saving the lives of the people. The two qualities, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, is an important, very important quality of the devotees. One is, what is that? Namaruchi and then Jivedvaya. These two qualities. Namaruchi is the devotee is always interested to chant the holy names of Krishna, and simultaneously what he does, he gives the holy name to others. He gives the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, and then inspires others to chant the holy name as well. This is the mercy. You cannot see people suffering. This is the specifically Srila Prabhupada, who is coming in the parampara of the Rupanugas, followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He very personally took great strains to save the lives of the people. Okay, we'll continue with text 11. The Lord elaborates on the point that those with eyes of knowledge see, saying that it is difficult to see the Atma. Only those who are anointed with the knowledge of the subject matter of Krishna consciousness can see, properly see, others cannot see. Yatanto yoginaschainam pasyantyatmanyavastitam yatanto pyakritatmano nainam pasyantyacetasaha pasyantyacetasaha. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. So, yatanto yoginas chainam. Yoginaha here refers to the transcendentalists, those who are connected with the Lord, yoga, by the practice of yoga. Pashyanti atman yavastitam. So they are self-realized. They can see. But then who cannot see? Yatanto pyakrita atman. But those who have not taken to the process of self-realization, or those who are not engaged in the service of the Lord, nainam pashyanti. They cannot see. Because their minds are not sufficiently developed. Achetasaha word is used. Mind is not developed, he says. Okay. So now Prabhupada in the purport, he points out that there are many so-called yogis. Actually, they are also blind of self-realization. There's so many yogis also, nowadays. They also do not believe in the next self-realization and all those things. There is one particular faith. They say they accept reincarnation, but they don't accept the soul. What kind of explanation you will give? Are you able to follow? You accept reincarnation, but they don't accept soul exists. What is reincarnating? You try to figure out if it is possible for you. I'm not able to figure out. So so many things are there, So then he says that, Prabhupada also here points out that they are simply addicted to some sort of gymnastic exercise and are satisfied if the body is well built and healthy. So for many people, they think that this Ashtanga yoga. Actually, in the yoga process, if you see, yoga sangyama. Sangyama means the last three stages. Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. That is where the real yoga takes place. Till that time, you are preparing yourself. There is in the stage of Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pratyahara. So all preparatory stages. Many people are actually stuck there only. Many people are interested in Hatha Yoga and all those things. But how many of them, they really know the philosophy that we are going to be born again? Hardly they know. So Prabhupada points out that these yogis are, yoga word should be properly understood. He points out in his purport. So he concludes the purport saying that, so who is a real yogi? Is only the Bhakti yogi is a real yogi because he knows that definitely we are going to be born again after this, and he transports himself to the abode of the Lord. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Now we are entering another section here. Krishna is pointing out that actually he is sustainer of all the jivas. So now, so far he has said that with the mind and senses, the jivas are transported to another body. And in another body, what they are trying to do? Adhishtayam anaschayam vishayan upasevate. They are trying to satisfy their senses. This is what they are doing. Now Krishna is pointing out here, even to satisfy your senses, even you want to enjoy in your body, it's me who is giving this. So Krishna is saying, okay, this is what is Krishna actually trying to do. Actually, we left Krishna, we want to enjoy separately. He has to make all the arrangements. He has to create this material world. He has to give body to us. He has to give senses. And then he is allowing us to go through this experience. And then sure we'll be frustrated. And when we become a little sober, cool-headed, then he will turn back to his lotus feet. This is what this is the plan of Krishna. That is why this material world is here. Now, this is what is being pointed out here. Now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is pointing out, whatever the jiva attains in his bound state, I being the essence of the sun, moon and other objects, apply that. This is explained in 3 verses. Bharati Vidyabhushan says, I alone accomplish the enjoyment for my amsha, the jiva, who is attached to this material world. And I alone accomplish the liberation for the jiva, desiring freedom from the material world. This is explained in 4 verses. Very nicely they say that actually it is me, you want to enjoy this world, for that also I am only giving you. You want to come out of this world, I only give, not Shiva, not Brahma, not any of the 33 crores demigods, it is me, Krishna says. So we will see what he is explaining. Text 12. Yadaditya gatam tejo jagad bhasayate kilam yat chandramasi yat chagno tat tejo vidhimamakam. Yad aditya gatam tejo. Here the word tejo is used. Tejo, Prabhupada translates as the splendor. So with the splendor from the sun, it dissipates the Jagat Bhasayate Akilam. The entire world has come out of the darkness. And then with the Yat Chandramasi Yat Chagno, then with the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire, Krishna says that I am the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire. Okay. And then he says Tat Tejo Vidhimamakam. And then says that by seeing this, one can begin his knowledge to understand the Lord. So those is for those who do not have faith in the Lord's person. We saw some of the opulences, some vibhutis and all we saw. Here also we can see one can begin to appreciate the presence of the Lord, or one can begin to appreciate how the Lord is the provider. The Lord is the provider. Without He providing anything, what can we do in this world? We cannot do anything in this world. So He is the material cause. He is the essential cause. He is the remote and material cause. He is the final cause of everything. So here Prabhupada begins the purport explaining the point that everyone, the unintelligent, cannot understand how things are taking place, but one can begin to be established in knowledge by understanding what the Lord explains here. So here we can see the sun, just with little common sense we can see, if the sun is not rising in the morning, everything will become mess. Everything will be dark. How do you feel when there is no light? Mangala Vishnu, tell me your experience. Or I will tell my experience. First time when we went for a tour program, we went to London. We heard about Prabhupada speaking about London. We also heard about London, how it is, sometimes it's dark and like that. We were in Ireland and London, Then we saw the sun is up to, it was 11 o'clock in the night. Still there is so much light is there. Then morning, some days the morning it becomes, the sun is a little early. Sometimes it's all completely very, very foggy and dark. What is the inspiration you are getting? The real inspiration you are getting is to take the blanket and cover and then nicely sleep. This is what you like to do. And there is, sometimes you say, oh, what a nice climate. I would like to sleep for next 2 hours. You see, this is the thing. When there is sun in the morning, immediately anybody who is little normal would like to wake up, take bath, and then be fresh, right? So that is because of the sun. And then what else? Because of the presence of the sun, how you get the rain, now everything in the field is, the production, all the growth is happening. So let's say there is quite heavy rain for 2 months or in an odd time, or the unseasonal rainfall we get, everything, all the production, everything becomes disturbed. If there is no proper sun, all the calculation, the farmers know when to sow the seed, what is the time period in which this particular vegetable should be grown, and what particular seeds has to be, for which grain has to be, everything, whole science is there. And when they know the climate, also you can see the astrologers also, we have this Panchanga. And Panchanga also points out what is a good period in which we have to plant, and what is a good time, what is not a good time. It's a big science, So we see the sun's splendor, it plays a vital role. Too much of sun is also not very good. At the same time, no sun is also not very good. So we know the sun, which is generating so much of energy, from where the sun is getting this energy, scientists have no clue about it. But here Krishna very clearly says, I am the splendor of the sun. Krishna also elsewhere he says, sun and moon are his eyelids, Krishna says. So the point is that simply we appreciate the presence of the sun. That is worth. And then also Prabhupada goes on to explain. So we can see, it helps us to be active. It helps us to perform some activity, and also for our, for our enjoyment also, so-called enjoyment also in this material world, the presence of sun is very much required. Otherwise, nothing will happen. Then it also helps us to destroy the lethargy that is there. And then, then life doesn't exist without the sun, because there will be, if there is no grain, there is no rain, there is no grain. And if there is no grain, you may say, I will just eat meat. Even the animals, for animals also they are feeding from grains. So life will not sustain. And also, other nourishments doesn't happen in the absence of the sun. So much is there. So we can appreciate by seeing the sun. We can simply thank the Lord. This is one level. Oh my dear Lord, thank you so much. No, for everything we pay the bill, no? Electricity bill, you don't pay electricity bill, you see what happens. And then the electrician from the electric office, they will come and then remove. But have we ever thought every day on time without any expectation we are getting the sunlight? But are you paying the bills? What is Krishna? We don't have to do anything. Simply all we have to do is we have to play our role as the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Simply chant the names of the Lord, engage in devotional service. That's what we need to do. So that is the point here. And Prabhupada is making the point. Yeah, same thing Prabhupada is making a nice point here. You see, sunlight is due to the spiritual effulgence, the spiritual sky of the Supreme Lord. With the rise of the sun, the activities of human beings are set up. They set fire to prepare the foodstuff. They set fire to start the factories, etc. Without the fire, how can you cook? Also another thing, You may say, Prabhuji, we have LPG gas. For LPG gas also the fire, where one gets a strength for that fire. So many things are done with the help of fire. Therefore, sunrise, fire and moonlight are so pleasing to the living entities. Without their help, no living entity can live. So if one understands that the light and splendor of the sun, moon and fire are emanating from the Supreme Person of God Krishna, then one's Krishna consciousness will begin. You see? Like this also we can make people think about it. We can make people think. You see, God, you can see the presence of God, or his energies are acting. So can't you just recognize his potencies? So Prabhupada says that these are all the thoughts to provoke Krishna consciousness. So what do we understand finally? Without Lord's mercy, nothing can happen. Your so-called enjoyment also is also because of the Lord's mercy. Now I'm speaking, I'm raising my hand. If I'm getting paralysis, what can I do? I'm stuck. I can't do anything. If you lose your sense of hearing, what can you do? It is all by his mercy it is happening. So a devotee recognizes, a demon doesn't recognize. This is the difference. Without his mercy there cannot be sun, without his mercy there cannot be moon, and without his mercy there cannot be fire. And without the help of the sun, moon and fire, no one can live. This is the point. So same Baladevi Devotion Prabhu is also pointing out, which we discussed. The light situated in the sun, rising in the morning on Udaya Parvata, illuminates the world in order to cause action for the attaining present and future enjoyment. So how is that? Yes, if it is pitch dark, Amavasya day, there is no current, is also not there. What you can do? You cannot even see our own hand, we cannot see. So when there is light only, we can start to perceive things. Only when we perceive, we can have enjoyment. Otherwise not possible. So he said, even for that, Krishna is providing. Okay. Let's go to the next verse. Text 13. Gama vishyacha bhutani darayam yahamojasa pushnami chaushadi sarva somo bhutva rasatmakah. I enter into each planet and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all the vegetables. See, again another feature is explained here. So Gama vishyacha bhutani. So Avishya, the Lord is entering. Because the Lord is entering, the planets are sustained. Darayam, I am holding it. Darayam aham ojasa, by my energy. So there it was, word Tejas was used by splendor. Here it is Ojas, like the energy of the Lord. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice to Pushnami Chaushadish Chaiva. So Pushnami means, Pushna means nourishment. The nourishment happens to all the vegetables, all the shark. How? Somo bhutva rasatmakaha. From the Soma, from the moon planet, the juice is supplied. So all the vegetables are nourished. Okay. Now, we know the planets are rotating in its orbit, it's moving. The scientists take gravity, but we all understand from the Vedas that actually Anantasesha is holding. You may call it gravity, but actually Anantasesha is giving the strength. From him, everything is being held. And another point here, see, Prabhupada is giving nice analogy, look into this analogy. Prabhupada says, he says that when the spirit soul is there, a living man can float on the water. But when the living spark is out of the body, and the body is dead, the body sinks. Of course, when it is decomposed, it floats just like straw and other things, but as soon as the man is dead, he at once sinks in the water. Now, why this analogy Prabhupada is giving? Or what he is giving? Can you relate to? I didn't read a particular sentence, but easily we can, why Prabhupada is giving this analogy for what? What he is comparing? What he is comparing this analogy? Similarly, when the Lord enters each and every planet, that's how the planets are floating. Right? See what Prabhupada says here. You can please read it when you go back home. The Lord enters into every atom, every planet and every living being. It is said there that one plenary portion of the Supreme Person of Godhead, Paramatma, enters into the planets. Andantarayastha paramanu chayantarastham govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. The universe, the living entity, and even into the atom. That's how everything is sustained. Prabhupada very nicely makes a point here. Similarly, all these planets are floating in space, and this is due to the entrance of the supreme energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His energy is sustaining each planet just like a handful of dust. If someone holds a handful of dust, there is no possibility of the dust falling. But if one throws it in the air, it will fall down. Similarly, these planets which are floating in the air are actually held in the fist of the universal form of the Supreme Lord. Okay? Very nice. So now Prabhupada goes on to explain that how moon is, from the moon, we saw moon and even the Devatas are what they are trying to do. They are going and then drinking some beverages, soma juice they are drinking. The same moon, from the moon, this soma bhutva rasatmakaha, that when there is a moon, from the moon there is also cooling rays that is coming, and that is, the whole day is such a heat. Now summer is coming up, in the evening when there is a cooling rays of the moon, it really soothes us. Then we can see all the shark, vegetables, everything gets the energy from the moon, and it becomes very tasty. And like you can see sometimes in the modern, so many different scientific methods of cultivating, farming are being done. Sometimes what they do, that they cover, what is that? They call the greenhouse, not greenhouse or something. They're also using some other technology where they cover, they don't, direct moon rays don't touch, but those vegetables, or they don't have that real taste. That is there. Sorry, it's not a greenhouse, it's glass houses. With glass they cover it actually. That is what is actually.
It's called green.
Yeah, that's also there. Okay, anyway, the point is that the artificial method, if you don't allow the moon rays to touch the vegetables, then it does not have the taste. But the taste is coming, nowadays with all this different, all glories to the so-called scientists who have come up with so many pesticides. You only smell the chemicals. I was discussing last week with one of our devotees. That shark previously used to have such a taste. Every shark, you don't have to put any big masalas. Simple masala you put. The shark itself has got such a fragrance and taste. But nowadays it's all lost.
Celebrations northern part where Purnima night.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, you can see they open and they come and then eat. They come together on the Purnima night they eat, and so many things are there. Yes. Okay. Anyway, the bottom line point is that we should not forget this. This splendor is coming from whom? From the Supreme Lord. This energy is supplied by the Supreme Lord. That's the whole point. Okay. Now another very important point. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritah Pranapana Samayukta Pachamyannam Chaturvidham. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff. Krishna says, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. I have become Vaishvanara, the fire god of digestion, and fire of digestion. Praninam Deham Ashritah. In all the living entities, I I just there. Prana Pana Samayukta, with the outgoing air and the ingoing air. And along with the air, actually I am helping keeping the balance. Samayukta. The balance is maintained in digesting all kinds of. Pacham Yannam Chaturvidam. I help to digest all kinds of food stuff. So Prabhupada points out, according to the Ayurveda Shastra, we understand that there is a fire in the stomach which digests all foods and there. I'm sure for some there is a huge fire. You can see whatever they eat, they could digest. For some there is a problem. They are not able to digest anything. So the point is, even the food that we eat, those so-called atheists and rascals, they think that it's all by the digestive enzymes, but actually all the digestive enzymes or whatever digestive acids are getting the strength because of the Vaishvanara who is seated inside the heart. He's there. So that's why devotees, what they do before they honor prasadam, we chant the Sharira Vidyajal prayers. We glorify the Supreme Lord. My dear Lord, thank you very much for providing this mercy. Traditional brahmanas, they perform something called parisheshanam. They do. By that they take water and then they go around the anna which they are going to eat. They recognize actually pranaya spaha, panaya spaha, spanaya spaha, udanaya spaha, like that. They offer all these things there because this, as it is pointed out here, the Vaishvanara along with the pranas actually is helping in the digestion. So we recognize that. So it is mentioned here, the Lord is situated within sound and within the body, within the air and even within the stomach as the digestive force. There are 4 kinds of foodstuffs. Some are drunk, some are chewed, some are licked up and some are sucked. And He is the digestive force for all of them. So when you offer to the Lord, all these varieties we should offer. Chewed, sucked. That's why all these preparations, when we just offer, bhakshyam. You can see bhakshyam means it is chewed with the teeth. Bhakshanam also we say. What are the bhakshanam means? Bhakshyam. We can bite. Bhojyam means that is sipped. Then lehyam means that is licked. And then chushyam means you suck it actually. So these are the varieties of food. I know some of you are waiting to honor prasadam. Wait for another 5 minutes so that your fire will grow more. Are you okay? Shall we do one more verse? Okay. Text 15. This verse indicates that the Lord alone is the cause of knowledge and ignorance of the living entities. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritirjnanam apohanam cha vedaishcha sarvair ahameva vedyo vedantakrid vedavid eva chaham. I am seated in everyone's heart and from me come remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedas. So here Krishna is pointing out that Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishtaha. For all the living entities, I am seated as Paramatma. Mattaha Smritir. From me comes Smritihi means remembrance. Mritir Jnanam is knowledge. Apohanam means forgetfulness. All these things are coming from me. And then the second part of the shloka he says, Vedaishcha sarvair aham eva vedyaha. Krishna says that I am the essence of all the Vedas. Vedanta krit, he says. He is the compiler of the Vedanta. Vedavit. Vedavit, when he says someone is a Vedavit, means he knows the Vedas. So who else will know the Vedas than the Supreme Lord? He is Vedavit. And he is, certainly it is me, Krishna says. So that is what, let's see what Prabhupada gives in the commentary. Now, this is an amazing thing. The Lord is seated inside the heart as Paramatma. Now, we have to thank the Lord for one very great, even when we are in this conditioned body, how He is helping. If we know what we have done in our past, Now, let's say I know about my past and you also know about his past. Let's say he is the fellow who took 20 lakhs from your bank account in the previous life. And he's sitting right in front of you. All the memories are coming to you, in front. How he cheated you, how he took to the hotel, gave you nice food, and then he took all the details from you. And you come, now you are completely, your memory got stuck. What you will do? You will use all the kinds of weapons you are having to kill him. But Krishna is merciful. Apohanam cha, he has given the forgetfulness. Also, it becomes very problematic. In the house you see there is mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Daughter-in-law knows what is her previous life, and mother-in-law knows if they were, the previous life they were taken different roles. Already it is chaos, and it will become more chaotic now. So what Krishna is merciful here. Prabhupada says that. See here what Prabhupada says in the purport. The living entity forgets everything of his past life, but he has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is the witness of all his work. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets about his past life. I was the collector in this city, but unfortunately now we have gone into the body of a rat. Then whatever the rat has to do, all those intelligent knowledge Krishna gives, and then whatever you have to do, whatever activities you have to perform, everything is coming from Paramatma. He's supplying everything, and you have forgotten that you have been a collector in the previous life. So this is the arrangement Krishna is giving. Now also we can see sometimes what is the scientists, they don't have answer. How certain birds are flying from Alaska to Sweden, or there is whatever nearest lake that you have seen in Tamil Nadu, there is some called Vedantangal. See, all the Tamil Nadu people, they know. Vedantangal, there are so many amazing birds are coming in certain seasons. How they are coming? Who gave them the route? Which pilot, any pilot is there behind, or they are using some supercomputers from the earth? Who is giving them the guidance? Their route is perfect. There is no accidents, no collision. So Paramatma is giving the guidance. And then we can see sometimes we see puppies, just born puppy. Immediately it knows how to suckle from their mother's breast. And it knows how to use the teeth, little bit, it starts to stuck. Who is giving the intelligence? What the scientists they say, it's there in the genes. How it got into the genes, how it is there. Instinct, they use the word instinct. What is the instinct? Where is the instinct is coming from? Actually, you do not know, you fool, you do not know. It is actually the Supreme Lord who is seated in the heart is giving all the guidance. Smritir jnanam apohanam, everything he is giving. Okay. Okay, now Prabhupada, he goes on to explain. But now the point is that we can see here, Prabhupada. So the first two things, if you see the first two lines, speaking about the feature of being the Paramatma. So we can see the first two lines of this verse. What is how it begins? The shloka. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishta matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So if we want to enjoy this material world, who is helping us? Who is helping us? If we want to enjoy this material world, who is actually giving us the facility to enjoy the material world? Supreme Lord. If we want to come back to the Supreme Lord, who is helping us? Supreme Lord. So we understand this verse. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishta matta smritir jnanam. You don't want to believe the Lord, He gives you forgetfulness. You totally forget. You are engaged in so many kinds of activities, you forget the Lord. And you want to remember the Lord, you want to be an obedient servant of Him, and He gives you the knowledge. And then you come to understand. What do you come to understand? Vedaischa sarve aham eva vedya. Otherwise you may study the Veda. You may never come to a conclusion who is the Supreme Lord. Vedanta krit vedavid evacha. So that's what Prabhupada says in the rest of the purport. He says, the direction of the Vedas, the Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of God and Krishna, and Krishna in his incarnation as Vyasadeva is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra. Then he goes on to address the point that the Lord is all good, is God all good and merciful. He is addressing the point. The Supreme Lord is so full that the deliverance of the conditioned soul, He is the supplier and digester of foodstuff. the witness of the activity and the giver of knowledge in the form of the Vedas, and the Supreme Personality of God is Sri Krishna, the teacher of the Bhagavad Gita, is worshipable by the conditioned soul. Thus God is all good, God is all merciful. So we can just give this example, these 3 verses we can speak, how God is all good and all merciful. He is what is the one who is providing the splendor of the sun. He is giving the energy by which all the planets are sustained. He is the real nourisher of all the foodstuffs that we are going to take. He is giving the intelligence. He is giving the memory. He is giving the forgetfulness. Whatever that we need to forget, we have to forget. Otherwise, life will be disaster. And whatever that we really need to remember to get the knowledge to apply in our life to serve the Lord and His mission, that we need His mercy. And then He is also giving guidance, continuous guidance to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Is He not merciful? So He is always merciful. Even when we are rebellious, still He is merciful to save us. Okay, then Prabhupada goes on to explain the purpose of the Vedas. He concludes the purport by giving the purpose of the Vedas. He says in all the Vedic literature, beginning from the 4 Vedas, Vedanta Sutra, the Upanishads and the Puranas, the glories of the Supreme Lord are celebrated. By performance of Vedic rituals, discussion of the Vedic philosophy, and worship of the Lord in devotional service, He is attained. So it is also said, no? Adye antesha madhyamcha, sarvatra hari giyate. So yeah, in Ramayana, Mahabharata, in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, all that is there is the glorification of Lord Hari. That has to be understood. And then Prabhupada, he says that the Vedas give us the direction by which to understand Krishna and the process of realizing Him. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedanta Sutra, it is confirmed. Tattu Samanvayat. So by studying the Vedanta Sutra, you should know about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People are saying that we are Vedantists. Prabhupada used to criticize when he was in the US. You say Vedantists, they do not even know the first Vedanta Sutra. Janmadhyasya, they do not know. Prabhupada used to make a mockery of them. What kind of Vedantist you are? You do not even know the first Sutra of the Vedanta. So now this is the point. The entire Vedas are giving about the 3 subject matters. Sambandha, Abhidheya, Prayojana. You can see in the purpose. I have just marked in my notes, but that's what eventually Prabhupada is pointing out. By understanding Vedic literature, one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is that? That is Sambandha. By performing the different processes, one can approach Him. We are engaged in sadhana bhakti. So by that, we can approach Him. And then, what is the goal of the Vedas? At the end, one can attain the supreme goal, who is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the Prayojana. By study of the Vedas, we have to attain Him. Attain Him means again reminding. We are not merging, we are eternally engaged in His service, in His abode. In this verse, the purpose of the Vedas, the understanding of the Vedas and the goal of the Vedas are clearly defined. See, that is what in the purport Vishwachakra commentary we can see. In this sloka, having told how he ends the jiva in his bound state, the Lord then tells how he assists the jiva to attain liberation. In this sloka that is mentioned. This entire sloka is helping how to come out of this conditioned state. So by giving the knowledge, by giving forgetfulness, by giving intelligence, Krishna is helping us to come out of this material world by giving guidance through the guidance through the Vedas. And the culmination of the Vedas, you can say Vedanta Sutra, but the commentary of the Vedanta Sutra is in what? Where it is? Commentary of the Vedanta Sutra, where it is given? Srimad Bhagavatam, natural commentary of the Vedanta Sutra. So many times we have discussed this. Now why I am speaking about this is in Kali Yuga, it's a very dark age. Dark age, the illumination is, we are getting the illumination from this dark age by the presence of this Purana. Puranarko Dunodita. Kalau nashta drishamesha Puranarko Dunodita. How does the verse begin? Dharme nashte kulam. Krishneshva dhamo pagate dharma jnanadabhi saha. Kalau nashta drishamesha Puranarko Dunodita. So we all, after studying this Bhagavad Gita, we all should enter to the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita study should go on, but then Srimad Bhagavatam, more things are elaborated. Then we can appreciate the Lord and His devotees even more. So we stop here. If you have any questions or comments, any realizations, we can take one before we wind up. Yes.
When I thinking about this in the beginning, I used to think, it would have been better if you would have remembered our past activities. Yeah, I was at what kind of activities I performed. So I should not make any mistakes. And then, okay, I will slowly go through it and bring back. It's a horrible experience. We will have all the time in that.
Yes, that's the point. So here, the Grisha Prabhu is making the point that, I sometimes used to think that maybe it would have been nice, I would have become more serious if I know what I had done in the past. But actually what happens is that if you know sometimes what you have done in the past, sometimes you get into kind of mental depressions. There are so many people who are facing some kind of depression from post-traumatic war. People have not recovered. It is Krishna's mercy. Better we do not know what we have done in the past. Some people are very much enthusiastic to go to the astrologers. There are some astrologers from whom they try to know what they have done in the past. Sometimes there are one fellow told me that, oh my God, one of the astrologers told me that previously I killed 7 people. It was a horror for me to hear. Anyway, we know we have done a mess. That's why we are here now. Okay, none of us are innocent. The greatest mess that we did is we became envious over the Lord. So we are struggling here. So intelligence is to surrender to Him, take shelter of Him, and go back to Him. So tomorrow we will discuss the important 3 verses which gives the essence of the Vedanta Sutra. The 3 verses Krishna speaks the essence of the Vedanta Sutra, and then also how Krishna is. If we know Krishna, we know everything. With that, we will conclude the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.